Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in EDH. Today we are playing Hidetsugu and Kairi. So this was originally a deck submitted for the Viewer Brew Review video, and I liked it enough that I decided to take a swing at making the deck into a better, more optimized version of that deck. So first let's go over what is this deck doing. So Hidetsugu and Kairi is a 5 mana Dimir commander. It's a 5/4 with flying, and it says enter the battlefield, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. So it brainstorms. And then the most important part, the second ability, when it dies, exile the top card of your library. Target opponent loses life equal to its mana value. If it's an instant or sorcery card, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. So the idea here is that we want to find a big bomb instant or sorcery that normally costs a lot of mana and use Hidetsugu or another effect to put it back on top, then sack the Hidetsugu and Kairi to cast the spell for free and potentially just win the game off of that one spell, or at least get a ton of value out of it. So what are the big spells that we're going to play? So I've grouped them here under payoffs. So the payoffs are Aminatu's Augury. This is an 8 mana sorcery. You exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a land from among them onto the battlefield, and then until end of turn, for each non-land card type, so instant, sorcery, enchantment, artifact, etc., you may cast a spell of that type from among the exiled cards without paying its mana cost. So this card is obviously pretty variable. You may not hit anything worthwhile off the top 8, or maybe even if you do, it's not worth the setup that you had to go through to get it, but it does let you potentially cast up to 4 or 5 spells for free. Next is Blatant Thievery, which steals a permanent from each opponent. Then we've got Enter the Infinite, which just straight up draws us our entire deck, except for 1 card that we put back, which if we do that, we should probably just win the game at that point. And then there's Expropriate, everyone's favorite card. Starting with you, each player votes, and then for each vote, you either take an extra turn or gain control of one of their permanents. So it's like Blatant Thievery with a Time Walk stapled to it. Depending on how the votes go, you'll either steal multiple permanents, get multiple turns, or some combination of the two. But usually, once you cast Expropriate, you just straight up win the game. Then there's the new card, Rise of the Eldrazi, from the Eldrazi Commander deck. It's a 12 mana spell. It cannot be countered. You destroy a permanent, you draw 4 cards, and you take an extra turn. And then Time Stretch, you take 2 extra turns. So these are the best of the big mana spells, the best ones probably being Expropriate and Enter the Infinite. And you are trying to put one of these on top of your deck, so you either want to tutor them to the top or just get them into your hand and then use Hidetsugu and Kairi's ETB Brainstorm ability to put them on top. So then, of course, Hidetsugu and Kairi has to die in order to trigger, so you do need ways to kill it. And to that end, we have sacrifice-based rituals like Culling the Weak and Sacrifice. We've got High Market and Phyrexian Tower in our lands. And then we have other pure sacrifice effects. So these are broken down to in the enabler cards. This is Claws of Gix, 1 mana to sack a permanent. Corrupted Conviction and Village Rites are sack a creature to draw 2. Similarly, we've got Nasty End. Sack a creature to draw 2, but if the sacrifice creature was legendary, you draw 3. We've got Viscera Seer as just another way to sack creatures. And then another way we can sack creatures is by cloning Hidetsugu and Kairi. So since Hidetsugu and Kairi is legendary, we can clone it and then have the clone or Kairi die and then use that to trigger it. So we've got Dance of Many. This basically just makes a token copy of a card for 2 mana. Flesh Duplicate, which is essentially just a 2 mana clone. Phantasmal Image, another 2 mana clone. And then the best one, since all of these cards require that you play them afterwards, so you'd have to have Hidetsugu and Kairi in play and then cast these clone effects, but we've got Renegade Doppelganger. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Renegade Doppelganger become a copy of that creature until end of turn. So if you already have Renegade Doppelganger in play, you cast Hidetsugu and Kairi, and then it will immediately legend rule. Now, because it immediately legend rules, the death trigger will go off before the Brainstorm ability on Hidetsugu and Kairi, so you do have to already have the spell on top, but otherwise, it's the most mana efficient way of doing the effect since you can just already have this in play. Next, we're just going to have a bunch of the usual cards that we need to do. So of course we do need to ramp up to this as usual. So we've got all of our various mana rocks to ramp. We've got our fast mana to get Hidetsugu and Kairi out faster. Cabal Ritual, Dark Ritual, Jeweled Lotus, Lotus Petal, Rain of Filth, which allows us to sack lands to produce black mana. We've got our counter spells, Swan Song, Pact Negation, Force of Wolf, Flusterstorm, Fierce to Guardianship, Offer You Can't Refuse. We've got our card draw effects, Black Market Connections, Bolas's Citadel, Lorien Revealed, Mystic Remora, Necropotence, Peer into the Abyss, Rhystic Study. We've got Protection in Malevolent Hermit, which can either be used as a non-creature only mana leak, or on its backside, makes our non-creature spells uncounterable. Cyclonic Rift, and we've got our tutors, Demonic, Imperial Seal, Limb Duel's Vault, which is particularly good in this deck because it allows us to put the card on top. Mystical Tutor, Imperial Seal, and Vampiric Tutor allow you to all put the cards on, and Personal Tutor all allow you to put cards on top. And then we've got Spellseeker and Tainted Pact as more tutors. And then we've got our combo. So of course, we're running Dimir. You may as well run the Thassa's Oracle combo. So we've got Oracle plus Demonic Consultation plus Tainted Pact. We've also got Sensei's Divining Top to help fix the top card of the deck. But Sensei's Divining Top also works extremely well with Bolas's Citadel, because Bolas's Citadel lets us cast stuff off the top by paying the mana value, and Sensei's Top is only a 1 mana value card, so you can always draw a card and put it back on top and then cast it with the Bolas's Citadel, which then leads us to our other combo, which is Aetherflux Reservoir. With Aetherflux Reservoir, Bolas's Citadel, and Top, you can just keep casting the top off the top over and over, gaining more life than you're paying in order to cast it, generating infinite life. Well, not infinite, because you will eventually draw your whole deck, but enough, tons of life. And then you can just Death Star Laser all of your opponents with the Aetherflux Reservoir. Aetherflux Reservoir can also just be really good with Bolas's Citadel, even if you don't have the Sensei's Divining Top in the first place. We've also got Nim Death Mantle, which can be attached to Hidetsugu and Kairi in order to bring it back. It is expensive in that you have to pay 4 to equip it and 4 mana to bring it back equipped to the creature that's dying. So this is only really good if you either have a way to make a combo off of the Nim Death Mantle, or if you plan to take multiple turns sacking Hidetsugu and Kairi, which you might. But it also works with our other combos of Mnemonic Wall / Scholar of Ages. So Scholar of Ages, like in previous decks that I've shown, can combo with a reanimation effect plus a sacrifice effect. So if you've got Nim Death Mantle and then Mnemonic Wall or Scholar of Ages plus one of your sacrifice cards like Sacrifice or Culling the Weak, you can keep getting them back over and over and over. So in the case of Sacrifice, it will generate 5 mana with Mnemonic Wall or 7 mana with Scholar of Ages, which is enough to pay for Nim Death Mantle plus have more mana left over. So that generates infinite mana if you have those 3 cards: Scholar of Ages / Mnemonic Wall plus Death Mantle plus Sacrifice. Or if you only have Culling the Weak, you can use it in combination with specifically Scholar of Ages, because Scholar of Ages can get back another card. So if you get back any other piece of fast mana, like Dark Ritual, for example, you can then make infinite mana that way. And that is basically the breakdown of the deck. So you're trying to use this as a value or combo piece to get big spells off the top of the deck, sacrifice it to one of the sacrifice effects, and then win off of that big spell. But it also has secondary combos like Oracle, Scholar, Mnemonic Wall loops, or Reservoir plus Citadel. And that is Hidetsugu and Kairi. The land base, pretty stock Dimir lands, again with a few exceptions like High Market and Phyrexian Tower in order to have more ways to sacrifice Hidetsugu and Kairi, but otherwise pretty straightforward Dimir mana base. So that is the Hidetsugu and Kairi deck.